here's the thing. You, Mr. Last, you knew that I was more than likely going to skip watching an hour of indie girl garbage match. And you called me up early the very next morning after this thing aired. And I won't give the entire transcript of our conversation, but basically, I think you'll agree the gist was you saying people are demanding to hear what I have to say about this thing because it was an all-time shit show of epic proportions, and please watch it. Was that the summation of the...
Those may have been some of the words I actually said, too. Yeah, I think so. And
yeah,
more than anything else on Dynamite in a while, we just did a review of Dynamite last week. I think it was like 30 minutes, the shortest one ever. It's not a fun show to watch often. The same people doing the same things. There's only so much you could say. This was classic AEW Dynamite here. And
there's a lot to say.
We heard more feedback about this than anything that's been on Dynamite in a while, so I thought that merited you considering to watch this match for the listeners.
Well, and at the same time, a lot of people are going to say, well, that's good. Isn't that what they're trying to do? Are you a successful high wire walker if you say you're going to walk between the two skyscrapers in downtown Chicago and you make worldwide news for falling off the fucking wire? It worked for Evel Knievel, but his fucking, cycle rocket just said fuck it, and he parachuted into the Snake River Canyon. That got worldwide publicity, but it wasn't exactly a proud achievement. And what they have done is they have just said, we are going to do as much as we can to appeal to the smallest number of people, because it is an ever smaller number of people now, and they're still 20% down with the new method of figuring ratings. So, if this show is up 20%, it'll be back to what a bad show used to do. The point is, 10 days in front of a pay-per-view, but more importantly, Tony's going to fund this thing for 10 years. Or till whenever at such time that he's non-compos mentis by his father. And what can you do to another human being? But it's all just random. It's just chaos. And the reason why that especially this got a lot of attention was because now, instead of just the guy, well, I don't say now, they've done it before, but the highlight of the garbage indie wrestling that appeals to the smallest, diest, hardest part of this audience, that tells them all they know what they're doing and that they're the greatest thing ever, though that small group of people, the girls get to fucking be sickos too. While they resent the jokes that you make about the AEW fans being the people legitimately that have people chained up in their basement. We didn't make that up. The news did. We joke about that and they get mad, and then but this is so great. And whenever and boy, by the way, the AEW fans with 27 different Twitter accounts, all with Japanese anime and fucking some kind of outlaw wrestler in their gimmick, they hate it when you fucking say anything about this stuff, about the girls getting to do it too. Because I triggered a bot with a couple of the things I said, where that they all somehow, people that don't follow me, that I didn't tag AEW, as the kids say, or whatever. But they find it and come in because it's like 17 people, but it's all they do all day. That's the bubble that these people live in AEW, the talent. The reason why that the girls match here, and I do use that term derisively, because that's what they showed they are. They're girl marks. And Tony will let them do whatever the fuck they want. Because I saw that on the statements on the internet. You boomer, the girls are equal. They wanted to do this. They didn't have to be talked into it. Exactly, because they're marks. They have cushy jobs where instead of having to protect themselves and their opponents so that they can work regularly or elsewise be out of a job and not getting paid, they're bankrolled by a billionaire boy child with some kind of cognitive thing going on. And he'll pay them if they and they're young and they think, oh, what the fuck, I'll break my leg or whatever the fuck, he'll pay me. And they think it'll be cool. We'll take cool pictures of us bleeding. And we'll get to use the kendo stick wrapped in barbed wire. And they're marks. They have not even the barest superficial understanding of what not only the wrestling business is, but why blood should be used in it and how it should be done and by who and in what quantities becomes just ridiculous. And they don't care that it's potentially risky for either sponsors that may get a wild hair up their ass or the network one of these days will start watching the fucking show. And they'll go, what the fuck? This is on our air? Or somebody will have a goddamn conniption fit because it's just so gross and in such bad taste. But they don't care because the idea of women rolling around in broken glass and the barbed wire and the thumbtacks and the bleeding and all the other shit, it's not going to increase AEW's business because it turns off more than it turns on. And the ones it turns on are already there. But they don't care that it's not going to increase business. It might have increased the viewers, 50,000 viewers, whatever the fuck, with the numbers, who knows these days. But what difference does that make? Because the money's guaranteed. And they don't care whether they even get hurt or not because they view it as a badge of honor. Oh, when I came off the top of the cage through a fucking table that was on fire with the goddamn barbed wire. Hey, oh, look at the pictures of this nasty fucking break here. And I was in the hospital, but Tony paid me. They're all children and they're marks for themselves. And before we get into this 12-way clusterfuck with any specificity, that's the deal. Is that it's not about girls being equal because they can draw money. They want to show that they can be as big of marks for themselves and as stupid as everybody else, as the guys can. And no, I don't believe they were forced to do it. I believe they wanted to do it because they're marks for themselves and they don't get to business. We get to do the cool shit. We get to break the furniture. It won't increase their checks. They're just having fun. They're on a guarantee. They get the cool pictures. But it's bad indie wrestling. If there was a reason for first of all, if everything didn't look so fucking phony, that's what struck a nerve with people on Twitter. I wasn't as offended by the women bleeding and rolling in broken glass as I was the fact that as a professional, so much of it looked so fucking fake. And they can't get over the fact that the reason that you and I hear, Brian, from 9 million of the 11 million people that used to watch wrestling on Monday nights, but don't watch it at all anymore. 75% of them, their complaint is, well, everything just looks so fake and it sounds so silly and fake. So they do faker shit, but they hurt themselves in the process of doing it. And none of these girls are talented enough at working with gimmicks, obviously, that they can be trusted not to hurt somebody. It's bad taste indie wrestling that stays in rec centers for a reason. There's no athletic ability involved, and that's why the junk wrestlers, garbage wrestlers of the business do it, because that's the only way they can get over. But some of these girls have talent. Some of the guys have talent. Not as many, by the way, in the men's match. I wanted somebody to hit me in the head so I'd see some stars. But they don't need the talent to do this because it's just a stunt show where the fans don't care what happens as long as they see somebody bleed and somebody break some furniture, miscellaneous interchangeable talent. We won't remember the exact thing tomorrow. Just break a lot of shit. So they're all just breaking a lot of shit. Blood can be important in wrestling. If the heel makes the babyface bleed, if it's in a match, then the fans are nervous because the babyface is hurt. He's at a disadvantage. He may not be able to pull this out. Or if it's in an angle, then it gives the babyface some reason to want to get even with the heel for injuring him, for hurting him in front of all his fans. When the babyface gets heat or gets juice on the heel, it's because he's getting even for something that was done to him. He's showing the people they get what they paid to see. In the end, usually. If not the end of the program, at least the end of the fucking match. But no, now he got him. He finally got him. There's reasons for it. You don't do it in the first match in a cold match between two fucking dweebs. You don't do it up and down in 6 matches out of 6 on the card or nobody gives a shit anymore. It's just ridiculous. There's the parameters and the rules of the road. And then it's a useful tool. If you use it too much, then people don't give a shit, and then you've just fucked yourself. If you never do it, then people are, I remember back in the day, they used to beat the shit out of each other. It's got to be a balance. But these idiots just do it because they think it makes them cool.
I'll say a few things.
Are you still there?
Yeah.
Yes.
I'll jump in with a few things. And I think what you just said is a part of the issue. And specifically with the war games here, there were a lot of weapons and a lot of different gimmicks introduced. Well, we'll get to the bed of nails. We'll get to all these different things. It's not like they were necessary. It wasn't about the fans like, I need more than war games. No, they had these ideas. They wanted to do them. I don't remember what match it was. It may have been like Anna Jay and Ty Mello versus Penelope and someone. I don't even remember for sure. But there was like a no DQ women's match on like Collision or something. And it was like a bloodbath, and it was just a complete crazy match like the men have. A little sloppier, but the same kind of match.
Yeah.
And the quote that came out afterwards was like, we really wanted to do it, so we asked Tony, and he said, sure. And again, you hit on, I think, one of the big issues. A lot of this stuff that's done is done for them because it's not that you need a Vince McMahon, but you need more than a Tony in terms of having an overall idea of the big picture and what needs to be and what doesn't need to be a part of that. Now, with all that said, my last comment will be, I enjoyed the women's match a whole lot more than the men's match. And part of that was the shit show spectacle of it. Because I've never seen, you've never seen, no one's ever seen a women's match like this.
Well, no. And also because all the stars, what there were of them were in the women's match, at least bigger than in the men's. And they did more goofy shit. Because what else was there left to do? Which is the stupid thing about seeing a War Games or a Blood and Guts or these Elimination Chamber or these giant gimmick matches, 2 of them on the same show, one right after another, one with the girls usually on first to make it look like, well, what the fuck? If that 120-pound girl can survive this incredible structure, then what about Brock Lesnar? It's insane to begin with.
And that's one thing with Elimination Chamber or Royal Rumble. Elimination Chamber is a little heavier than Royal Rumble, but that's one thing. When it's the War Games match and the women are up first and they introduce every conceivable weapon into it and they escape during it, like everything that's going to happen, they did first. I think it took a lot away in terms of crowd reaction from the men's War Games match.
Well, yeah, because they're sitting there going, Jesus Christ, it's a bunch of job guys and they're doing the same shit we are. All right, let's take it one at a time, because that's the problem also, is that now I think I've made this simile before, in that the AEW male fans now are the 14-year-old teenage girls that used to write me death threats because of what I did to Ricky and Robert. In the day, you had women in the crowd hanging from the rafters, flinging themselves at the Rock and Roll Express and the Fabulous Ones and the Von Erichs. And now all the guys in the business are so small, are so geeky, so unintimidating, so lacking in personality. The women don't give a shit about them, but it's the 30-something-year-old guys that are desperate, that are like, Jesus Christ, anybody. Oh, look at those pretty girls. And they're so, but they still act like, how dare you say that about Blue Sky? They act like the 14-year-old girls. So this was pretty much the main event of this thing to that audience. So let's see, where did we start? And by the way, the rules of this are 2 people start for 5 minutes, right? Like it always, and then every few minutes, another person will come out. There was no time. There was no clock. There was no rhyme or reason. They didn't want to send anybody to commercial break. They just said, we won't promise them anything. We'll just send them out when the spot comes up. So I really do think this kind of thing does damage to the whole business, because for all the reasons, when people see this and think, this is wrestling, fuck, they don't want to see any kind of wrestling. Unless it's this, the average person that's not a faithful member of this audience wouldn't stumble past this thing anyway. So it was Willow and Sky Blue and the kendo sticks and the garbage can lid, and Blue starts bleeding buckets, 2 minutes in. And she's in this whole thing, which is going to go an hour. And she's already tweeted all the pictures and everything. And she made sure to get in front of the camera a bunch and smile, so you knew she was happy about it. She was bleeding to death. Jesus Christ. And Julia Hart came in next, and she and Sky Blue, did we ever find out, Brian, did I zone out and miss it? They went to
what
the
they were going for
pads.
Yeah, we never found out.
They both go to the corner and they reach in the top buckle, the middle buckle, the bottom buckle, back in the top buckle. They're trying to find whatever's hid. And then they realize they've just stopped the match, and they go over and start beating on Willow, and it never happens. And then they double teamed Willow. Did you see on the charges in the corner they were giving her when they ran into each other? Because Sky Blue went in there, boom, and she turned around, didn't get out of the way in time. Here came Julia, and bam, hit her own partner. And it just, so Harley Cameron came in then with a chair and tatered Blue with it. And at this point, we were starting to get a picture of a bunch of women dressed like strippers, using weapons, botching moves, and bleeding and getting lost. And then they went to the break. So when they came back, it had been like 5 minutes since they'd come in, and then they sent Thekla. And it looked like drunk square dancing. I don't know how to explain. It wasn't like anybody was trying to have any semblance of it. They were trying to do what they've seen on tape the guys do in the War Games or whatever. And then about a minute and a half after Thekla came in, after 5 minutes, Jamie Hayter came in. And I don't think it was even supposed to happen, where she had a bag of thumbtacks, but the bag immediately just exploded and the thumbtacks went everywhere.
Yeah, I wasn't sure either. I mean, I don't know, but that happened pretty quick.
So she just grabbed a kendo stick and beat on some people. And then here came Megan Brain. And every week, Brian, more and more I realize why she is not a. Remember when we used to ask, how did the WWE miss out on her? Boy. So she went to double clothesline Harley and Willow. And Willow took the clothesline, but Harley tried to duck it, but she got hit in the face anyway, but she didn't sell it. She stood up and kept running. And when she came off the other side, Megan slammed her. So I'm not sure which one fucked up, whether it was the one took it or the one that ducked it. And Harley can't, in some cases, it looks like she's confused when somebody shoots her off and she tries to figure out how to just run straight ahead. Can you get lost trying to run straight ahead, Brian?
Well, there's a lot going on. It's a action-packed cage match.
It's not like you can stop on the corner for the light and fucking wait for it to change while you think about. All righty. So then Penelope Pitstop is at ringside, even though she couldn't be in the match because she is in a arm sling or a sling in her arm, whatever. She's apparently, she's fucked up.
Yeah, we saw that. It's when she did a moonsault onto a group of women on the floor and just landed arm first on the floor.
Oh, that's right. Well, that'll do it. But she handed Megan Brain a chair, and then this is why I call her Megan Brain, folks. She flung it full force. Jamie Hayter was sitting in the corner, like on her ass and leaned into turnbuckles. And they put a garbage can lid over, sit on her lap, and it's over her face, right? So apparently somebody thought a spot would be, well, we'll hit the can lid with the chair. She flung it. Did you see this, Brian? Full force into the can lid with Hayter's face behind it for no reason. It didn't even hit it hard, threw it and let go of it. And a boom, and we didn't see Hayter do anything for goddamn, what was it, the next 15 minutes? And I've heard that apparently they're reporting that some of her teeth are fucked up or something.
Oh, no way.
I don't know.
I didn't see that. Oh, no.
You know, well, it wasn't like she wasn't bleeding, but you don't necessarily, I don't know what they did to her. She laid there for quite a while in the other ring. Like, I'll be over here now. But that should be a fine. Anybody that did that in the WWE would be fined, I would think, for unprofessional conduct, because there's no way. You can't. And also stupidity. And if that happened in regular companies, nobody'd work with this fucking bitch. So I don't know what the fucks. Anyway, so then Statlander came in with a pool cue. And she used it once and dropped it and started doing wrestling moves.
Well, no, it broke, though. When she used it, the top broke off right away.
You still got a goddamn stick in your hand.
Well, it's now very sharp now. Yeah, that's right.
Well, also, have you not seen the goddamn all the pool hall fight movies where they break the pool stick in half and use the heavy part? You're just not thinking, Brian. Nevertheless, for some reason at that point, Queen Waiata showed up at ringside wearing a neck brace. She was supposed to be in a match, but these people are really hurt. So they've lost 2 out of this fucking roster before they even got the thing in the ring. And they're trying to kill the rest of them, but the girl in the neck brace chased the girl in the arm sling off. I'm not making this up.
It's going to be funny when they can't get to the end of their tag team tournament because multiple women are hurt because of everything they've done since they announced the tournament. So then Willow and Statlander, even though they're on a babyface team, but they've had issues with each other. So they do a face-off.
And the announcers are trying to tell the story of, well, they've had a checkered past or whatever. And they're trying to, well, suddenly old Blue comes from behind and shoves Statlander like she's going to shove her face first into Willow. But at the same time, Willow lurches forward like when Statlander goes down or ducks or whatever, she's going to clothesline Blue. But when Blue pushed Statlander, Blue tripped and fell and ducked the clothesline. And Willow is like, where the fuck she go? Oh, she's down there now. And I swear to God, she tripped and fell and fucking ducked the clothesline. So they went back to the face-off, and then the announcers start trying to tell the story again about, well, you know, they've had a checkered past. And this time, Statlander has turned to where the handheld in the ring is from the viewpoint that it's coming, because here comes Megan Brain to do the same thing and shove them into each other. But everybody fell down, including, I think, Blue Sky, who hadn't really got back up yet. And so meanwhile, we're 30 minutes into the fucking show, and they come back from another break, and here's Mercedes Moon. And they actually put a table at ringside with job guys holding all of her fucking belts with her champagne bucket, which actually looked like what you'd get goddamn mud bugs in at Joe's Crab Shack, was the champagne ice bucket. But they got the champagne and they got the job guys and the belts, and she does her normal entrance. The stripper dance and drank champagne off the table while the match is going on. And she does get heat because she's an obnoxious douchebag, but I'm not sure that this is a proper heat when you just go, that is a person that I just couldn't ever like. She's so convinced that her shit tastes like caviar. And I know that's a good heel attribute, but then she's going to get in the ring and stink it up and never do a job. Although you can give her this. She had as little to do with this thing as possible. This match I'm talking about. She did as little as she could possibly do. She stayed away from most of the broken glass and the thumbtacks. And by the finish of the thing, she wasn't even in the cage. So she's got creative control, I guess. But she just would go in and out of the cage and threw all of her belts in the ring so that all the girls' heels could awkwardly whip the other ones. And then Mina Mellons came out with a baseball bat wrapped in barbed wire. And she got in the ring and hit one of the girls with, I say hit, I can't use that word. She tapped one of the girls the lightest bat shot ever, and then threw the bat to Megan, who caught it, and then she drop kicked Megan. Why would you take a bat and throw it to your guy? It's this giant lurch-like fucking Amazon. It's going to kick the shit out of him. Oh, here, take this baseball wrapped barbed wire from the bank addicted drug robber. Take this fucking thing and I'll drop kick you. Or maybe I could have just taken the bat that I already had and just beat the fuck out of you. You giant bitch. So then Mercedes picked up the bat and missed a swing and dropped the bat, and they went back to wrestling spots and trading fake forearms. There's a fucking bat. There was a fucking bat there, is what I'm saying to you. And then let's drop down, hip toss. Marina Schaefer comes out through the crowd with the spooky lighting, and she pulls Statlander out of the cage. Statlander's bleeding. And they start fighting on the floor. It's a 2-ring double cage, but they've got to have the fight on the floor. And that's when they turn the bed of nails over from where it had been secreted against the barricade, and she knocks Statlander onto a bed of nails. which they got earlier that day at the Bed of Nails store. What the fuck? Why did any of the crew say, hey, we got a bed of nails over here? Does anybody know what the, oh shit, call the police. What the fuck? Then Tony Storm comes out dressed as Michael Myers in Halloween and brings in a giant pearl necklace and the champagne ice bucket. And she uses the pearl necklace as brass knuckles on Schaefer. And Schaefer just says, fuck it, and doesn't sell it and takes over on her. And they're 40 minutes into the show and we go to the break. And they come back. And Jamie Hayter, that's actually the first time I've made note on seeing her. She may have recovered from having her face smashed in for this giant witless Amazon. She powerbombed Sky Blue onto a table it didn't break because, of course, Blue only weighs 100 pounds. 75 pounds of that are in her gluteus. And then Jamie Hayter gives her an elbow drop on a table. It no breaky. Table no breaky. And then everybody started doing all the moves that they knew. And you can't really, there's no rhyme or reason when everybody's looking through the cage from that distance that you have to look through that fucking cage. I'm talking about people in the arena and or on television where you can't understand half of what's going on, that there's 12 of these nitwits just doing everything to everybody. You can't even keep track of who's in charge here. They're just popping on if somebody's going to get fucking injured, carried out on a stretcher, or break something. And that's what Harley Cameron with the brass knuckles KO'd Mercedes Moon.
Well, did you see how she had the brass knuckles?
Oh, inside a puppet.
Yeah, Mercedes went for the puppet
of Mercedes. Yes.
She tricked her with the puppet.
It was a puppet trick. Then when Mercedes yanks the puppet off, then she hits her with the brass knuckles. But I believe that was Mercedes's cue. That was her reason to get the fuck out of there and stay out while Julia Hart and Thekla then just crawl through the openings in the cage trim or truss or frame or whatever the fuck. And they just figured out they could do that. So they crawl through and knock the referee out on the floor and get the key to the door and open the door, and they throw several of the baby faces out on the floor. So then they have about 6 girls fighting out on the floor, and Statlander and Mercedes, that they fell through the belt table. That took moan out of the fucking thing. And that's when Storm dumped the broken glass out and DDT'd Marina Schaefer on it. But Schaefer turned around and broke a framed mirror over Tony Storm's head. So there's glass flying everywhere. And then Mina Mellons put a figure 4 leg lock on Megan Brain around the barbed wire baseball bat. This, by the way, all of this is taking a lot fucking longer than the way I'm describing it. Because this thing is going for nearly an hour. Then they held, finally, Tony Storm. Several of the girls, I can't remember who, doesn't matter, held Tony Storm while Megan Brain whipped Mina Mellons with one of the title belts, and Tony was so worried about, we established now, I guess they're lovers, they love each other, that the announcers were using the words, well, they're in love, a person you love. Are they appealing to the the basement crowd again with the lesbianism, or what's happening here?
Yeah, I'm not exactly certain, but wasn't that also the gimmick that they had with Mariah May and Mina Shirakawa? Because Mariah May was like the understudy of Toni Storm, but Mina and her had this relationship from Stardom. And it created like a schism in the timeless Toni Storm Mariah May relationship.
A schism?
A schism.
You're talking about like a small crack or
That's
chunk in the some.
I don't know where you're leading us, but yes, that is indeed the definition.
I can't use the other word on YouTube.
No.
It can only be a crack in the armor. But nevertheless, so Toni Storm gives up to save Mina Mellons from being whooped on by Megan Brain with the title belt. And again, I'm sure they all had just a fun time doing it. But this is the kind of thing, like I said, that turns people off to all wrestling. And it's just unnecessary, especially to go almost an hour. I don't know which was worse, the fakeness of it and the contrivedness of it, or the stupid use of the childish weapons, or the multiple women bleeding everywhere, or the idea that these are supposed to be professionals in a professional business, but they're actually legitimately hurting each other, taking bumps and a bunch of sharp shit for no reason, except their marks for garbage wrestling. And the younger people have to blame Tony for rewarding goofs like Moxley at his fucking viewpoint with teaching this to the newer generation.
In terms of positives, do you see anything with Sky Blue? The fact that she was in there the longest, she bled the most, maybe the most I've ever seen a woman bleed in America. And she obviously
Wait a minute. What about those trips to Thailand? What are you talking about in America?
Well, I think Chikasa Nagayo may have bled more. I'm not sure exactly.
Oh, good Lord. What is that?
Against Dump Matsumoto.
You know, most of the guys in the business that I've known, when they got juiced to where people said, geez, I've never seen somebody bleed so much, they didn't mean to do it. Go ahead.
But that was my only point. The fact that obviously she has very limited coaching because it's AEW, and she kind of is a singer-songwriter doing whatever she wants.
Do I see anything I see something in Blue Sky, because she's Sky Blue. Now, I don't know which is which. She's an attractive girl. She's obviously in shape. She has a good look, and she's obviously dedicated. So yes, that right there, but I don't see anything from this, because what talent did it take to go out there and wander around in the middle of that mess with 11 other girls for nearly an hour? You can fucking just lay and sell in the corner when it's not your turn. It's not like you're having a 50-minute wrestling match. And no, I don't attribute anything to her talent for being able to bleed profusely when she cuts herself. No. If, again, whether she meant to do it that bad or not, or whatever the case, or to get that much sauce, as they used to say, in the middle of this ridiculousness that is like one of these goddamn garbage championship wrestling shows with a giant budget, as I said on Twitter, because the billionaire boy child has a cognitive defect, and here's what we get. If it meant anything for business, that'd be wonderful. But since it didn't, everybody's talking about her, but it didn't make her another goddamn penny, because she's on a guarantee and they're on a guarantee and everybody's on a guarantee. They're just trying to kill each other to appeal to a weird, smaller section of the fandom these days. They ought to have a women locked in a basement match on pay-per-view, or at least make these people pay something to see it.
Instead of escape the cage, escape the AEW fan.
Yes, if they get out of the basement, they win.
Out of the basement or out of the house?
Yes. Well, if you get out of the basement, pretty much you're going to be able to get out of the house.
There's no guarantee there. I don't think it's a victory until you get out of the house.
All right. Okay. From the basement to the front yard. When they plant foot in the front yard, they've won the thing. But the problem is you can only have one AEW fan buy a ticket. And you got to have at least 4 to 6 girls in the basement or it wouldn't be exciting. Then you take the 6 girls and you drop them off at a bus station in the middle of Iowa, maybe Montana, in the middle of the night, and they have no identification on them. And then a panel van pulls up. And then 6 months later, you call the guy that bought the ticket. You say, okay, are you ready to shoot this pay-per-view now?
Well, again,
just spitballing.
It's just workshopping some ideas here. But if you are one of the AEW sicko fans, obviously mind your own business, keep to yourself, leave these women alone. But that was the women's blood and guts match.
Blood and gush. Boy, I'll tell you, But Brian, we said it and blood and gush. We said it, and I think it's never been more true that they're marks for themselves, and they wanted to get the cool pictures, right? They wanted to get the cool pictures themselves. They could share on social media. They could send each other's phones, and they can, they can think about this moment back when they were covered in blood and rolling around in broken glass. I think that they ought to contact our friends, our brand new friends over at Aura Frames, don't you? Because that way they could set one of these Aura frames. We're going to tell you what these are, folks. They could set these Aura frames on their nightstand or on their piece of furniture there, the humidor or the whatever the fuck. And they could look at themselves gushing blood on national television just over and over again from all kinds of angles. What do you think, Brian?
Again, maybe not the most appropriate of photos to display, but I have to say, this is Aura Frames, that is. This is one of those things that when it arrives in the house, you become a superstar to your wife. Suzanne fell in love with this quickly. We have a couple here in the house, one upstairs, one downstairs. And if the wrestlers are anything like us humans, I think they would definitely love Aura Frames.
Well, here's the thing. And by the way, it's Aura, A-U-R-A, folks. See, I have no accent. I'm very neutral, so I can pronounce Aura Frames. But that's what you look up, auraframes.com, because here's the thing. When it came to my house, to Castle Cornette here, because, of course, we're in the family now, so they sent me one. And Stacy flipped out, went out of her mind, because turns out that is exactly what her mom had gotten from her nephew. Stacy's mother from Stacy's nephew. You see where I'm going there? And as a result, Stacy's mom liked it so much, Stacy was going to get her nephew one, and instead, she took this one and sent it to him and then got another one. And now they've all got Aura Frames, and they're all connected to each other, and they're just sending pictures back and forth like crazy. And that's exactly what you can do. You can preload pictures and then send it to somebody, or you can send it to somebody and then upload or download. Which term is it, Brian? Pictures. You can connect it to the Wi-Fi.
You will be uploading them to the through the Wi-Fi. It'll get to
you can frame. Send from your phone. You can send pictures. I'll tell you what. I went down to the payphone on the corner and figured out a way to send some pictures to a guy down the street, and he got pissed about it. It was pictures of my ass. But nevertheless, and it comes
from the payphone.
Yes, it took me a while to figure it out, but I did. And also, each one of these frames comes. Now, this is very important.
Of course,
I'm about to talk to you people about very important information. There is a gift box included with each one of these Aura frames. Every frame comes packaged in a premium gift box with no price tag. And that means it's free. So you'll get one of these for free every time that you get one with no price tag, I guess. Right, Brian?
No, that isn't how that works. That isn't how we should put that out there. Nothing is free in life, kids. Of course.
Well, no, so when it doesn't have a price tag on it, how else are you going to know how much if you send somebody a present, a gift for the holidays, and it doesn't have a price tag on it, how are they supposed to know how much you like them?
Well, again, it's the thought that counts, and also a picture is worth 1,000 words.
Fuck what you're thinking. I want some goddamn valuable merchandise.
If you can't stand the heat, stay out of the kitchen. Ladies and gentlemen, we have lots of expressions we can use.
No, don't put these things in the kitchen, because right then and there, they'll get greasy when you're frying.
You can put it in the kitchen. Let's not scare people and alarm them. You can put this in the kitchen.
No, you don't want to fuck it up. You're always frying the fritters and the fucking various things.
Oh, Jim, you heard that? Well, that means we need to tell all the good people out there that they can display photos of their family, their friends, the good times, everything they want to see.
And the bad times.
A cool feature.
You can have a slideshow of funerals if you want to, just to make sure you remember the departed. But right now, for a limited time, folks, here's some business for you. Visit Aura Frames, AURA, auraframes.com, and get $45 off Aura's best-selling Carver matte frames. They were named #1 by Wirecutter. And so if they can stand having their wires cut and still operate right there, you know you're getting a sturdy product. Use the promo code JCE at checkout to get that $45 off. auraframes.com. Promo code JCE, $45 off. It's a Black Friday, Cyber Monday deal, and it is their best of the year. So order now before it's over with. And mention us at checkout, just so, as a matter of fact, Brian, you and I should send some carefully posed photographs of ourselves to load into all these things. So that way the listeners, when they order one, they'll just have our pictures on there automatically.
That's the kind of nightmare you don't have to worry about. You'll get a brand new, ready to use, nothing preloaded Aura frame ready for you. Load it with your favorite photos. Your family will love it. So will you. One more time, Jim.
And videos. You can upload videos. Up to 30 seconds long. That would be, 80% of the listeners' sex tapes could fit there.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again, for appropriate, wonderful photos and videos.
There's a speaker. A speaker can play audio so that you can have the pictures talking to you.
We're going to have
It's a movie studio.
We're going to have a whole lot more to say about this wonderful product, but you can check it out today. Jim, what's that promo code?
JCE.